Russia is the largest country on Earth. For decades, distance was one of its greatest defenses. Put a refinery 1,000 kilometers from the enemy. Put a military factory even farther away. Move aircraft, warehouses, and critical infrastructure deep inside the country. And they should be safe. At least, that was the assumption. Not anymore. The geography of this war is changing. Ukraine has created something Russia was never designed to defend against at this scale. Not one missile, not one drone, but an expanding ecosystem of long-range weapons, FP1, Lyuty, and now FP5 Flamingo. Different weapons, different ranges, different payloads, but all built around the same idea. Take the war far beyond the front line. Hundreds of kilometers, 1,000 kilometers, and in some cases, potentially much farther. Look at a map of Russia, and the scale of the problem becomes obvious. Russia's enormous territory has historically been one of its greatest strategic advantages. But that advantage creates another problem. There is simply too much territory to protect. Oil refineries, military factories, airfields, fuel terminals, warehouses, logistics centers, energy infrastructure, thousands of strategically important facilities spread across an enormous country. Ukraine doesn't need to penetrate Russian is important. It doesn't look like some futuristic billion-dollar weapon, and that may be exactly the point. FP1 is a Ukrainian long-range one-way attack drone. Its reported maximum range reaches approximately 2,700 kilometers. Its payload can reach approximately 60 kilograms. But perhaps the most important specification isn't written on the aircraft. It's how many can be produced. Because one drone is a target, 10 drones become a problem, dozens become a much larger problem, and continuous production turns that problem into a strategy. Instead of relying exclusively on extremely expensive cruise missiles, Ukraine can manufacture long-range unmanned aircraft and repeatedly send them toward infrastructure deep inside Russian territory. Russia can intercept them, but Russia cannot simply place unlimited air defense systems everywhere. Every refinery needs protection. Every important factory needs protection. Every major airfield needs protection. Every fuel terminal needs protection. Every radar system, electronic warfare unit, and air defense battery positioned deep inside Russia is a resource that cannot simultaneously be somewhere else. And FP1 didn't appear in isolation. There is also Lyuty, another Ukrainian long-range attack drone. Lyuty demonstrated something extremely important. Ukraine could develop its own long-range strike platform, manufacture it domestically, improve it, scale production, and repeatedly send it hundreds of kilometers beyond the front line. And increasingly, Russian energy infrastructure became part of the battlefield. Oil refineries started appearing again and again in images of explosions, fires, and enormous columns of black smoke. And this matters, because Russia's oil industry isn't simply another part of its economy. Energy revenue remains one of the foundations supporting the Russian state. Oil creates revenue. Revenue finances government spending. Government spending supports military production and the war. Ukraine appears to have recognized that connection, and instead of competing with Russia purely weapon for weapon, it began putting increasing pressure on the industrial and economic infrastructure behind Russia's military machine. But drones like FP1 and Lyuty are only part of the story, because then came something much bigger, FP5 Flamingo. And Flamingo changes the equation again. FP5 isn't simply another long-range drone. It represents a much heavier class of strike weapon. Its reported range reaches up to 3,000 kilometers. Its reported maximum speed approaches 950 kilometers per hour. And its payload is dramatically larger than that of a typical long-range attack drone. That creates an entirely different equation. FP1 brings volume. Flamingo brings mass. One represents the possibility of repeated attacks using relatively simple long-range unmanned aircraft. The other represents the ability to deliver a much heavier strike across enormous distances. And together, these systems create another problem for the defender.